All right, let's start with the first. Let's start with the first video. We're going to go U.S. back to Canada, back to U.S. back to. I don't know what the order is going to be. We're going to start with one of the fake news, and yes, I'm using the expression remorselessly, and I do believe accurately. Listen to this video. By the way, this is John J Harwood. For anybody who doesn't know who John J Harwood is, White House correspondent, or as Tom Elliott likes to say, who I've now started following. I've been seeing his posts for a long time. He's great. White House spokesperson. Oh, no, not a spokesperson. Reporter. John J. Harwood, White House correspondent. You know him because he's been around forever. And can you imagine? I was going to say defecating, but I meant desecrating, but I mean desecrating with defecate. Can you imagine desecrating your integrity, your entire reputation as a journalist to cover the butt of a corrupt administration? Can you imagine compromising your integrity and destroying everything that you've spent your life building just so you can carry water for people who are too lazy to carry their own water, too dishonest to even admit that they need to carry their own water? Listen to this.
How significant is this, John?
Well, look, it seems pretty clear.
How significant is this? They're talking about the Hunter Biden laptop and certain allegations of an individual having played a role in financing certain activities that aren't actually occurring in certain parts of the world.
Clear that Hunter Biden was trading on his father's name to make a lot of money. He's had a difficult life.
Let's just back that up for 1 second, people.
Clear that Hunter Biden
Is this, John?
It's clear.
Well, look, it seems pretty clear.
It seems pretty clear
that Hunter Biden was trading on his father's name to make a lot of money.
Do we all remember the 10% for the big guy? And it has now been confirmed, unless I'm mistaken, and if I am, correct me, that the big guy being referred to in those emails of that laptop, which was initially written off and tried to be, pretended that it was Russian disinformation, the big guy in that email is now confirmed to have been Hunter Biden's dad, Joe Biden. So he's making a lot of money for himself.
It's pretty clear that Hunter Biden was trading on his father's name to make a lot of money.
Make a lot of money. And the more money that he made trading off his father's name, the bigger the 10% for the big guy was. Let's continue.
He's had a difficult life.
Let me pause that there. He has had a difficult life. They've had family tragedy. There's difficult life, and then there's two ways of breaking that down. Difficult life for factors beyond your control, born into poverty, born into disease, born into tragedy. And then there's having a difficult life because you've made life decisions that make your life difficult. And that happens to a lot of people. I would say that Hunter is probably a little bit of both. I think he was born into circumstances that were beyond him and therefore suffered as a result of those circumstances. And whether or not that was a factor in him making certain life decisions, that certainly made his life much more difficult. Who knows? So I think we can agree with that statement, even though it might need to be attenuated, but let's carry on.
But until you make someone makes a nexus between what Hunter Biden has done and official activities of Vice President Biden or President Biden.
I'm sorry, until you make a nexus? Yeah, that's your job, Harden, to go see if there is a nexus, Harwood. But and do you notice the way he says official business? Well, necessarily.
Vice President Biden or President Biden.
Sorry. Important word here.
Official activities of Vice President Biden or President Biden.
Would 10% for the big guy ever be official activities? In fact, I would argue you need to go and see what it was for the unofficial activities of VP Biden or President Biden. But you throw in the word official, and then you deprive the connection of any meaning whatsoever. You have to establish a connection between illicit, under-the-table stuff and official business. You won't find that connection. That's why it's called corruption.
It's a not pretty picture.
It's is this person a spokesman for the White? Is this Jen Psaki's replacement? Because apparently Jen Psaki wants to go into MSM. Is John Harwood going to be her replacement? It's not a pretty situation.
But it's not really of much public import in terms of the policy of the United States or the administration of the government. And the fact that...
Oh, really? It's not really of import that Hunter Biden, the president's son, had financial dealings in the country that is now currently being invaded at war with Russia, that might be the catalyst for a potential larger scale, a larger war. It's not relevant. Let's just hear this gymnastics again.
Much public import in terms of the policy of the United States or the administration of the government. And the fact that an investigation has been sustained during the Biden administration is an indication that the government is working on this subject.
The government is working on this subject. They had the laptop for how long during an election season and didn't do anything with it? Oh, they're working on it.
And we'll see what the results are. But so far, there is zero evidence that Vice President Biden or President Biden has done anything wrong in connection with what Hunter Biden's done.
There is zero evidence that Joe Biden has done anything wrong in connection with what Hunter Biden has done. Let me see if I understand that. So zero evidence that Joe Biden did anything wrong in Hunter Biden feloniously acquiring a firearm and then having his wife or girlfriend at the time feloniously dispose of that firearm, or Hunter Biden, I'll say feloniously ingesting certain substances that are felonious substances. Yeah, Joe Biden didn't really do any of that with him. But it's arguable as to whether or not his FBI tried to cover those things up, did not prosecute those things. But yeah, other than the 10% for the big guy of his son who's leveraging his dad's name and status as VP or president to make loads of money for himself, 10% of which goes to the big guy, there's no connection. I mean, there's no connection because we haven't looked.
Important distinction. I want to ask you about something. And look, President Trump, he still has rallies. He still says things. Some of them are out there. And
can you believe this crap? And after all of that, burying that under the rug, we go back to Donald Trump. Yeah, let's go back to some of the out there things that Donald Trump has been saying at his rallies. He's not a president. He's not in office. It's not an election season. Let's just set aside all of that stuff about the Hunter Biden drugs, felonious acquisition of firearms, felonious disposition of firearms, alleged involvement in procuring financing for alleged bio research, safety research, I guess, in Ukraine. Forget all of that. There's no connection. There's no connection to official duties. Duties. Now let's go back to Trump. I mean, it's not just fake news anymore. It's been overt propaganda for a while, but congratulations, John J. Harwood. You've destroyed everything you've spent your life building. I hope it was worth it, and I hope all the money that you're getting, because look, reality is people don't appreciate it. These MSM types get paid millions, and millions from Tucker Carlson to Jake Tapper, millions to Brian Stetler. And it's not to say that they do it for the money, but if anyone is going to say that this is conduct of integrity of a journalist, I will respectfully disagree. And the only reason people would do things that they find violate their principles of integrity is because they're dishonest, they're stupid, or it's just worth it. Who was it that wrote the book? James Comey. Or anyone who writes a tell-all book. Mary Trump. When you write a tell-all book and you burn all the bridges that you've ever had in your life, and you violate the trust of the people who you held nearest and dearest, or who held you nearest and dearest, it had better been worth it. Because if all that money is not going to make you happy for the rest of your life, well, your integrity and honor certainly won't either, because you've sold both. I view any such desecration as a possible hostage video for the potato files. I don't know what that is, Rambler, but and so that's how CNN is dealing with the Hunter Biden stuff. We haven't seen anything. There's no official connection to Joe Biden as president. Yeah, because that would be the dumbest form of corruption ever. You think Joe Biden is on Hunter Biden's payroll on the books? You think they sign contracts and explain why it is that Hunter Biden, the VP's son, with no meaningful experience in pretty much anything, with very, very bad lifestyle habits, is getting paid $50,000 a month to be on the board of a Ukrainian energy firm? You think they're gonna paper that thoroughly so that the public can scrutinize it, so that a journalist worth his or her weight in salt will actually look into it? Call me cynical, I doubt it. Hunter is a tragedy. An orphan whose mother was not alive to stop Joe from letting their drug-addicted son endanger himself to the degree he did. That's why I'm not going to shrug the idea that he's had a hard life. Broken homes. And it's like everyone thinks his daddy was wealthy. I don't know how wealthy they were, before they became career politicians. But there's no doubt there's tragedy that is beyond his control, that is objectively hard, objectively destructive, and objectively, all things being equal, will make for a much harder life and will compromise one's ability to develop healthily. So, you know, whether or not you can attribute all of one's foibles, all of one's wrong, bad, terrible life decisions to tragedy beyond their control, that's where healing and overcoming comes in. And some people, for reasons beyond their control, have more healing and overcoming to do than others. Some can't do it, some do it, and others who have had all the luxuries in the world still fall into making very serious life-compromising mistakes. So that's the CNN part.